Hello, second grade friends. Today we're doing lesson 9.3. It's called Creating Halves. So we've been working with fractions for the last couple of units, the last couple of lessons. That's what this whole unit is about. It's about fractions. And so your I can statement for this lesson is, I can split an image or a group of items in half, making sure each part is equal. Remember, the very first lesson in this unit was about equal and unequal. In a fraction, it has to be equal. We have to have equal parts. So if you look right here, this is one of our charts that's going to help us out today. Fractions. It describes what a fraction is here for you. It was on the last chart too. A fraction shows equal parts of a whole. So if you look at this circle, it's one whole. There's no parts cut into it. It's one whole, the whole thing. All of the parts of one shape or group, one whole. Same with this rectangle. This rectangle is one whole. It's not broken into any parts. It's one whole. It's the whole thing. Now, if you look at this part, we've got halves. My same circle is broken into two parts. Halves are two parts. Halves are broken into two. Okay, so we broke it into two parts. So remember, my denominator is the bottom. It's down on the bottom. It's two. I have two parts. 1, 2. Each one of these is 1. It's the same with this rectangle. There is two parts. Two parts. My denominator is down. It's two parts. Each one is one part. So it's 1 out of 2. But we also say 1/2. Okay, now if we're talking about both of them, we could say 2 halves. Or if we're just talking about one, we can say half of. These are all clues of ways that it is worded when we're talking about halves. Okay, so we're going to read a book on Epic. And we're going to talk about halves and wholes today.
Half and whole. Can you tell them apart? 2 halves make a whole. That's a good start.
2 halves make a whole.
Are these half sandwiches? Or are they whole ones?
Look at the sandwiches. Are they half or whole?
The sandwiches are whole. See the shapes of the buns? Cut them all in 2 parts. Both are the same size.
Now we cut them all into 2 parts.
1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1.
1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1 whole.
1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. No surprise. Are these fruits whole? Or do you see a half here? These fruits are whole. A banana, apple, and pear. Cut them all in 2 parts. Both are the same size.
Equal parts.
1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. Each part is 1/2. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. No surprise. Half or whole? What do you see?
Let's go back to that page. Half or whole? What do you see? What's this tomato? Is it half or whole? Right, it's only half. It's 1/2. What about this pie? Half or whole? Right, it's the whole pie. Good job. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of cutting shapes in half. So we are going to talk about how we could cut a circle in half. This circle right down here, okay? He is one whole. I'm going to cut it right down the middle into half. Here's 1/2 and here's 1/2. Okay, right down the middle. Now, remember, Mrs. Hoffmeister has a hard time making straight lines on this when I'm using my mouse, but it's close enough, right? So I could write it as a fraction if I take this away, and I'm just talking about this whole circle. I could say 1, or I could also say 1 out of 1. Okay? That means the same thing as 1 whole. 1 over 1 is the exact same thing. Or, like what I just did, where I cut my circle in half, each part is 1 out of, how many parts are there? Right, there's 2. Each part, 1 part out of 2 pieces of my circle, 1/2. When an object is split into 2 equal parts, we call those halves. What do we call them? Right, halves. Okay, so I am going to shade in my circle. How much of my circle is shaded in? 1 part is shaded, and how many parts are there in the whole thing? Right, there are 2. So 1/2 of my circle is shaded in. Good. Okay, so now I've got some other shapes on here. Let's talk about my rectangle. If I find the middle and I cut it right down the middle, I cut my rectangle into half. Here is 1/2, and here is 1/2. Okay, let's look at the triangle. I can cut my triangle in half like this, right down the middle. They're the same size and the same shape. Okay, so this is 1/2, 1 out of 2, and this is 1/2. 1 out of 2. If you notice, I have different shapes, but I can still cut them into half. I can cut just about any shape I want into half. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different here with this square. I'm not going to go in the middle. I'm going to go diagonal. Ooh, it's still 1 out of 2. And this part is 1 out of 2, which is the same as 1/2. They don't have to be cut exactly down the middle like that. As long as they're equal shares, you can cut it however you want. Some shapes are a little bit harder to cut into half, like this triangle has to be cut this way. You cannot cut it any other way to make it equal shares, to cut it into 2 parts. This is a star. Okay, I can go right down the middle. Okay, and I can cut it into half. Here is 1/2, and here is 1/2. The heart is the same way. I cannot cut this heart like this. Those are not equal parts. That's not 1/2. I cannot do that. I can only cut my heart in half like this to make it equal. Okay? Remember, this fraction is 1/2. 1 out of 2. Each side, we're talking about the parts. One side, 1 out of 2. As long as my shape is to split into 2 equal shares, it doesn't matter what shape I use. Look at all these different shapes that I used. Remember, equal shares and halves are 2 parts. Today, your worksheet, you are going to be splitting shapes into halves. So that's what you do at the first. You split them into halves, and then you get to use the fractions to shade it in. So let's say on this square that I want you to shade in 1 out of 2. So you're going to go in and you're going to fill in one side. Okay, so you're going to color it in. Your coloring is going to be way better than mine. Let's say we're doing this star, and I want 2 out of 2. Well, this is 1. How do I make it 2? Oh, I have to color in the other side too. Okay, so that's 2 out of 2. What if I say for this heart, I want 0 out of 2? How many do I shade in on that one? Right, 0. It says 0. I don't want any shaded. Good. So then the bottom part of your worksheet, you're going to cut your shapes out and you're going to sort them into the right spot. They're either going to go into one half or they're going to go into one whole. So you can sort them and you can glue them down.